Hi guys, the Middle Maniac back again. This is gonna be a different video. Again, I don't have any more albums to review at the moment, and Album Wars episodes. Again, can't think of any at the moment. So this is gonna be a slightly different type of video. I'm gonna try to answer the question, the ongoing question and debate of what was the best year for metal. And it's actually more complicated than people might think. Okay, so usually when someone asks someone, "Hey, what was the best year for metal?" I'd say 8 or 9 times out of 10 they would say 1984. But that is kind of true, but also not really. Like, here's the thing: when people ask this, most of the time the person answering most likely is just thinking about one particular genre of metal and not overall or each individual genre. So yeah, usually the answer would be 1984. But again, that's looking at a very specific genre and not multiple genres, and then getting an overall answer. So, and an overall answer isn't really the best answer. I would think. See, this is how I'm trying to figure this out. Is that I wouldn't say there's one particular year for that was best for metal overall. I would say you have to sort of section it off into genres or subgenres like heavy metal, black metal, stuff like a couple different like the core genres of metal. Like, see, that's the thing. I'm gonna try to answer what is the best year for metal of each core genre. So like heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, black metal, and what was the other one? Hold on, I'm trying to think. Power metal? Is it a core genre? I mean, it's been around for not as long as the others, but yeah, I'm gonna have to say, nah. No, I wouldn't consider power metal a core genre of metal just because it hasn't really been around quite as a long time as the others. So yeah, so far I'm just focusing on answering the question uh, uh, with those particular genres. You know, heavy metal, thrash metal, death metal, black metal. Those are the core metal genres. The ones that have been around the longest. Oh, and I'll throw glam metal in there. That's not really a core genre, but I don't know. Feel like throwing that one in there. So starting off with so starting off with like what was the best year for heavy metal? That's the one I'm gonna say 1984 because yeah I'd say because here's the thing, heavy metal did very well. I'd say like it started in like around 1979 or 1980. But heavy metal kind of hit its big mark in '84. For example, with the albums Defenders of the Faith by Judas Priest, Power Slave by Iron Maiden, uh, Wasp's self-titled debut, big landmarks like that. But yeah, those are just examples. But yeah, heavy metal did have the best. Uh, Heavy metal was definitely the best in that year. Like, not really. I wouldn't say. I don't know. I kind of like what for me. Like, I wouldn't say it was the best that year, but it definitely was the most successful in 1984. Now moving on to thrash. This is sort of slightly more difficult. Thrash started, I think, around '83, but didn't really pick up until like '84 and '85. And it was kind of one of the very few um, uh, older genres of metal that didn't completely die out during the '90s. It did have some difficulty. Like it was not really dying out like heavy metal was in the '90s. But it did falter a bit. But yeah, so for thrash, I'd probably say '84, '85. like one of those 2 years would be the best, would have been the best year for that. I'm already messing up my words. But yeah, so around 84 or 85, I think would have been one of those would have been definitely the best year for thrash metal. Now I'm trying to do this in chronological order, kind of. So hold on. Okay, so best year for glam metal. Glam metal is interesting because it lasted for a relatively short period of time before it was completely extinguished by the 90s. You know, like grunge and stuff, like completely killed it. Um, Heavy metal at the time was hanging on by a thread, but glam metal completely just died off and never really returned. Um, but yeah, so glam metal, I guess, started around, I think, 86, I believe. 85 or 86, I think it might have been 86. But I'd say the most successful year for it, the best year for it, would probably be 87. Um, I've come across a few really, really good albums, and from what I've gathered, for like researching this, like it definitely hit its boom in like 87. But yeah, now, death metal. Okay, so death metal, um, technically started in like 87 with the release of Scream Bloody Gore, but it didn't really get big until the very late 80s. I'd say like 89, but then sort of, it was the one of the very few, very, very few, um, genres of metal to thrive in the 90s. Like, heavy metal was hanging on by a thread in the 90s. Glam metal was completely extinct in by the 90s. Thrash metal was doing okay. Um, but yeah, so I would say definitely the only genre of metal um, that was actually doing that was the new sort of the at the time the new age kind of metal. Death metal was definitely thriving in the 90s. But I'd say the best year for it was definitely early on in like 89. For example, you had albums in '89, three major albums. Altars of Madness by Morbid Angel. I think Obituary's first album, I can't exactly remember the name of that album. I think it was Left to Rot, I think. I don't know, I don't actually own that album, but I have heard it like once, like a year ago, I believe. But yeah, so yeah, Obituary's first album, Altars of Madness by Morbid Angel, and then the other big one from '89 was how am I not remembering this? Do I actually have that one? Hold on, I'm having a mind blank. Uh, yeah, okay, it was this one. Sorry, I had a mind blank for a second there, but yeah, Severed Survival by Autopsy. Um, but yeah, not only three big death metal releases in 1989, but they were also debut releases, so pretty awesome. Yeah, so I'd say 1989 would definitely have been the best year for death metal. Um, Now going into black metal, this is where it gets really tricky for me because I am just sort of a somewhat casual fan of black metal. I don't know too much about it. I've only really listened to like one Dark Throne album, and that's it. I'm trying to get into the band Venom. I recently ordered their very first album. Um, but yeah, so I don't know too much about black metal, but I have sort of looked it up, so I know enough to know that overall, I would say around, I'd say 80, not 83, 93 would have been probably the best year for black metal. Definitely the mid 90s. That was during the second wave of Norwegian black metal, which Norwegian black metal is definitely not only the most popular, but I think the most successful of all the styles of black metal. Um, But yeah, so that's kind of my explanation of what is the best year for metal. Like I said, if someone asks you that, the answer is not that simple. It's like I said, it's very, like I've explained, it's very complicated. Like, you would have to list off the best year for each core genre of metal, because it's, again, you can't give one simple answer. But yeah, so that's it for this video. I just wanted to sort of explain the answer, sort of explain how there's no simple answer to what is best year for metal. But yeah, so also, this is gonna be my only video for today. I don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna upload next. Just because I don't really have any albums to review at the moment. Although one album, 11th Tuesday. One of the albums I ordered is supposedly arriving Tuesday. I ordered it from Amazon. It said expecting by the 11th. Which Tuesday is that? It's on a Tuesday, not this Tuesday though. Hold on. Wait, this Tuesday coming up. Sorry, I'm all confused. Yeah, this Tuesday coming up. Okay, so yeah, this Tuesday coming up. One of the albums I ordered. I'm like at the moment only really waiting for like 2 more albums at the moment. But yeah, one's supposed to be arriving on the 11th. I'll probably do a review for that then. But like I've said before, I expect a bunch of reviews this month, but at the moment it's gonna be very spotty because I don't know. I guess Amazon is sort of really unreliable at the moment. I even ordering stuff from that's listed as Amazon Prime, it usually takes at least 3 to 4 days. But yeah, so like I said, I don't expect me to be uploading videos constantly for, I don't know, at least a few weeks, or at least until I get a bunch of new albums in. But yeah, so this is gonna be my last video until the 11th, possibly. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.